The question we're asking is, what is the truth behind the paralysis of Parliament for the last 2 weeks? Is the BJP correct or wrong in shutting down parliamentary work over the coal scam? We have with us Sanjay Jha, co-founder HamaraCongress.com, Dr. Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the Delhi BJP, MB Rajesh, Lok Sabha MP of the CPM, Dr. Manoj Jha, spokesperson of the RJD of Lalu Prasad, and Neerja Chaudhary, political analyst. Dr. Sambit Patra from the BJP, your party's been holding up Parliament on ransom over the coal scam, but the CAG, in addition to the Congress, has also indicted the BJP on the coal scam. So how are you protesting the Congress over this?
No, in fact, wrongly put statement. We are not the ones who are holding the country in ransom. It is Congress which has held the country in ransom by looting the country. And as far as...
But the CAG has indicted the BJP for looting the country as well.
No. CAG has not indicted BJP anywhere.
Yes, it has.
In fact,
your Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan favored Reliance Power. Your Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Raman Singh favored SMS infrastructure of BJP MP Ajay Sancheti. This is what the CAG has said.
Let me be very clear with one fact, which we should all understand before we enter into the debate. The fact is, only and only, coal is a national property, and the Prime Minister, in fact, the then coal minister is the only authorized person to make allocations. No BJP state, no state for that matter of purpose.
But the BJP chief minister made all the wrong recommendations because of alleged vested interests which have resulted in thousands of crores of losses. CAG, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Let me be very clear in certain facts.
You read the CAG report, right?
I read the CAG report. Give me some time. Give me some time to respond to it. Give me some time to respond to it. As I've told, the two states which have been, as far as the Prime Minister is bringing Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh into the light and saying that it was because of the recommendations of these two and few other states that he had to allocate coal at free will. Let me tell what Rajasthan and what Chhattisgarh had told. In fact, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh government had told that they wanted a level playground because you cannot have a collective competitive bidding where a poor state is bidding in presence
what really
of
happened
state.
Can be investigated later. The
it's
point
going
is,
on. See, the investigation is going on.
The CAG has indicted the Congress, but the CAG has also indicted the BJP. Now, who's right and wrong?
The black and blue is present.
Investigation.
The whole world is seeing.
You have to put the Congress in the docket.
The whole world is seeing that the CBI has raided Mr. Dardar's office and that how the Jaiswals are involved and who all are involved and who not are. The whole world is seeing.
The CAG is indicting the BJP as well. The point is, if the CAG is right or wrong, it'll be right or wrong with the Congress also then. Let that be investigated.
I have told at the very beginning that coal is a national property and the central government alone, and in this case the Congress minister alone is responsible for allocation of coal.
You know what people are saying? Dr. Manoj Jha of the RJD, a lot of people are saying that the BJP is perhaps holding Parliament to ransom, not allowing a debate in the coal scam because it's convenient for them not to have a debate as well.
You know, Jujhar, coal is a national property, understandable, but symbol of national sovereignty is Parliament, where people's will is expressed. Now, I ask my dear friend that as of obstruction as a strategy, where you could have debated and discussed and brought forward lot many issues which don't come out open on the streets at Jantar Mantar or Ramlila. You should have debated them threadbare in Parliament. If your strategy was to expose, to show to the world that
I'm asking is that how do we know that the strategy of the BJP is not that, if we have a debate, our own role will be debated. So let's not have a debate.
Let me complete.
Forgetting that if debate is an essential part of Parliament, which is stressing upon, accountability is a very important part of Parliament and the government as well. Why is the accountable portion is being eaten up, especially when the Prime Minister, who is the most important person in the government, is the one who is accountable for the scam?
You have a debate.
My dear friend from BJP, can you allow me to make a point?
Mr. Manoj, and let me be very frank on this issue. We had put two conditions, as most of the opposition had put. We had scaled down at an extent that we had demanded that let them cancel the coal block allocation and let there be a judicial probe. Why do not they want to have a cancellation? What is the vested interest?
I believe
cancel the coal blocks.
I believe the New Jack's debate is on Parliament being paralyzed. Let me put it. If the intention of the strategy
is on corruption as well.
If the strategy of the Parliament, of the BJP was to expose, to show to the world that the emperor is without clothes, in this strategy, they also appear, my dear friend, the friends from BJP, without clothes. Does this strategy work in a country where you have massive, 59 important bills are pending in the parliament.
I think you made your point. Let's go to MB Rajesh of the CPM. Mr. Rajesh, what do you think is happening over here? I mean, it's almost like, we watch the Congress and the BJP battle it out in Parliament. Both have been indicted by the CAG report. It looks like it's suiting both of them not to have a debate in Parliament.
Yeah, that is why we have said earlier that both Congress and BJP are responsible for this logjam in Parliament. Yeah. Because both of them are very keen that this issue is not discussed in the Parliament. They don't want this issue to be discussed.
The blocks, and they also wanted a judicial probe.
Yeah. But having said that, we can go on like this because Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has also said that the left ruled West Bengal at the time also, in fact, recommended to him to allocate and not auction. But we won't get into that. We've debated that in the past. Sanjay from the Congress, the BJP argument, let's look at it from their side now. The BJP argument is that if they were to allow a debate on the coal scam, the Congress would have a debate for a few days and then the issue would get buried. Arun Jaitley of the BJP, in fact, has said that holding up Parliament should not be described as preventing work from being done because what we are doing is a very important work itself by not letting work happen. What do you say to that?
I think, Juzar, we all know that you got to take a lawyer with a pinch of salt, especially perception of a policy paralysis. I am going to, Juzar, make a point. What the BJP has done is anti-national. And I do hope the people of this country give them a huge rebuttal in 2014.
That holding up Parliament should not be described as holding up work.
Yes.
Holding up Parliament is work in itself. To make the government accountable, right?
Very important work, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Jaitley. Let me remind you as to what had happened when the 2G scam had erupted. Give me 2 minutes time, please. You remember that the same debate and discussions that BJP is holding the house and ransom, in fact, had taken place in almost all the channels. And what happened was the same people, Mr. Kapil Sibal, who had later said that, who had formally said that...
Because during the 2G scam, Parliament was held up for 17 days as well.
Let me come... I'm just making a point here.
Juzar, they tried to attack Mr. Chidambaram. And we saw what the Supreme Court did finally. And they tried to stall Parliament for the same reason.
Please listen. Mr. Sanjay, please listen to this point. Mr. Kapil Sibal, who had said...
No, I want to listen to you. I want to listen to his Parliament. Why are you so active in 2G's point?
At the end of it, you have to...
Please tell Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad to go in Parliament.
Let Dr. Patra make his point.
Please ask Mr. Jaitley to speak in Rajya Sabha.
Why are you hesitating? Why are you so...
I did not
you're paranoid or being exposed. I think the problem that the BJP has is using
you have to allow
to paralyze the nation. I'm going to tell you that you are taking the country for a ride and don't think the people of this country are stupid.
Let us keep the facts.
Yeah. What's the point you're trying to make?
The point is, at the end of the day, after 17 days of withholding the Parliament's work, when finally by the court's intervention, the licenses had been reissued. Remember now the same Kapil Sibal who was saying that nothing has been lost is opening the quoting price, the reverse price, the reserve price or the base price of the 9 licenses to be auctioned at 14 crores.
That doesn't mean anything at all. Excuse me, that means nothing at all.
I want to make 2 important observations.
Juzar, I think this is another misinformation. I was expecting this absolute border dash. It's completely wrong. It's misleading. And that is not an indication of what could be the perceived value of the spectrum. It's an unfair argument.
Sanjay, 1 minute. Let me just take 10 seconds. I think the point that he's trying to make over here is that they held up the Parliament over the 2G scam as well for 17 days, and what it achieved was that all those licenses, telecom licenses, were cancelled. They're now being re-auctioned, and the public exchequer is going to make a lot more money by that re-auctioning. In other words, holding up Parliament achieved a very useful purpose at that time, and that's what they want to achieve by holding up Parliament.
But Juzar,
the government reverses those licenses, has an investigation, and the guilty are brought to book.
Juzar, it is utter rubbish.
It is
how is
investigation into the companies that have actually not used the coal licenses have started long before even the CAG report. And as far as even the 2G was concerned, the investigations had begun. Nothing actually happens. This country loses not just 20,000 rupees a minute. It loses valuable time for which the MPs are elected.
My God,
this is the party that wants to fight an election.
Can you allow me to make one important point?
In Parliament and debate it, which is a televised debate. How about
you had a huge debate about 2G scam also,
the Prime Minister of India says I'm willing to speak. They don't allow him to speak. This is a mockery of democracy, a mockery of Indian constitution. Please don't talk in the TV debate. Go to Parliament and speak if you have the guts.
Let's bring an independent voice. Neerja Chaudhary, what do you see the merits of both sides of the argument?
Look, I think the problem is not with the accusations and charges that the BJP...
One second. Let's just look at why exactly the BJP is disrupting Parliament of the coal scam. They basically want 3 demands to be fulfilled. MB Rajesh, the first demand is the PM should resign over the coal scam. Second, there should be an independent inquiry into the scam. Third, the coal blocks that were allocated should be reversed. What is the left's position on these 3 demands of the BJP?
We have already made it clear that we stand for a discussion and thorough debate on this issue.
No, but on these particular 3 demands, you want the PM to resign, you want an independent investigation. What is it? What's your position on these points?
Let me complete. Our position is that first, through a debate, let us fix responsibility. So, second, if the debate finds PM as responsible, then we will take a position on his...
Sanjay, if you look at the BJP's demands, okay, number 1, the PM should resign, but yes, realistically, we know he won't do that. He's already said it. Demand number 2, there should be an independent inquiry. Now, the BJP is saying that. You've heard the left is also saying that. Why can't the government give in to that? The government's given it to the CBI, but we all know the CBI is a puppet of the government. Why can't you have an independent inquiry, or judicial inquiry, or whatever, into such a mega scam?
Juzar, I'll answer all 3 of the issues in very short sentences.
No, just answer
the first
this one. Why not an independent inquiry?
I think Mr. Chidambaram has already categorically mentioned that the demand for PM's resignation is outrageous, and I think that stands because he's the man who actually was the one pushing
say that it
for
is outrageous. In fact,
the point number 2, the Bharatiya Janata Party, Juzar, I'm just answering your question. Juzar, I'm just answering your question. The Bharatiya Janata Party actually says let's have an independent inquiry, but actually whenever they have had an issue that they wanted an attention for, they have always asked for a CBI inquiry. And why should the government demean its own institution that has actually done a job with the professionalism? Why? What do you mean by an independent inquiry?
The inquiry right now that is going on is not
number 3.
The government has
Juzar, point number 3.
Juzar, I believe that Parliament use its debate is becoming Congress and BJP alone.
And the CBC had transferred the matter to CBI.
I think Manoj Jha wants to say something.
Juzar, let me answer your third question. The third question is... That as far as the deallocation is concerned, there are private companies that have already sunk in significant capital, and if Coal India itself takes 4 or 5 years to get into production, there's nothing unusual if some private sector companies have taken over. You can't have a blanket all-force cancellation of licenses. So I think the BJP has actually raised 3 questions where they know that no sensible, practical government can agree.
Now we are talking about why can't there be an independent inquiry and not a CBI inquiry into the coal scam.
But without parliamentary debate, you will have inquiry. I mean, that is amazing.
No.
What is amazing?
It doesn't come to parliament.
What is so amazing about it?
A debate can happen, not happen, but that's independent of inquiry. Neerja Chaudhary.
CAG report should have ideally gone to PSC.
Let me put this in an independent voice. Neerja, we all know the CBI is a puppet of the government. In any case, even technically, how can the CBI, which reports to the Prime Minister and the government, investigate the Prime Minister and government over the coal scam?
Yes, I agree with you. There has to be an impartial inquiry. Very serious questions have been raised
Yeah, Juzar, it's a very simple case. The CBI is working under an independent body called the CBC. And let us please respect these institutions, just as we do CAG. So one moment, can I answer? In the past, in so many cases, it is the Bharatiya Janata Party that has been calling the CBI to investigate the cases. And bottom line is in a very transparent case where the entire country is watching it very closely. Neither the CBI nor the government will be able to do anything illegal at all.
Sanjay, I'll point out a simple fact to you. The CBI reports to the Ministry of Personnel. The Ministry of Personnel is headed by the Prime Minister. Now you tell me, how can the CBI, which reports to the Prime Minister, investigate the Prime Minister and his government on the coal scam? It doesn't make any sense.
Juzar, let me tell you, let's not diminish and devalue an institution like the CBI. I will agree with you that there have been instances in the past where it may have been politically exploited. But let me give you one simple example, Juzar. There was a Congress minister in Rajasthan who was involved in an unfortunate incident, and the CBI investigated him. He got indicted, he got arrested. Now, there are many such cases around. Now, you can't afford to pick up a few and continue to lambast the CBI.
Sanjay, I just want to ask you something.
Please go ahead.
Can you answer a question of mine, please, Sanjay? My simple question is, does the Prime Minister have a different set of accountability than Mr. A. Raja? Mr. A. Raja, in fact, had to resign from his office because of very similar charges. Cannot the Prime Minister, whose office is more sacred than that of Mr. Raja's office, simply resign? What is the necessity of gluing himself into the seat?
Can I ask you a question, sir? I'm going to give you a very simple reply. Okay. Firstly, there was no evidence against the Prime Minister. The inquiry revealed an evidence against Mr. Raja. But the more important question,
in fact,
your party is the party.
One minute,
your party is the party. 1 minute, let me ask you a question. Mr. BJP representative, I'm asking you a question.
On the floor of the Parliament.
No, I'm answering your question with a question to you. 1 minute, it's a very simple question. When you're in the Narodiya Patia case in Gujarat,
where does Narodiya Patia come over here?
1 minute, I'm asking, it's got an analogy. Your Chief Minister claims that all the deaths happened, he had no clue. And the BJP believes he's totally innocent.
No, Sanjay, I don't
understand. That is the ultimate joke you are carrying on in this country. End of day, there was no evidence with the Prime Minister. But you are turning a blind eye to massacres in the state of Gujarat. You believe the Chief Minister is innocent, but you want the Prime Minister to resign on the coal allocation issue. I mean, you got to be joking, sir. Please do not read joke books before you come to TV channel debates.
Parliament is replicating itself.
It's an analogy, my dear sir. I would request you to please take your role seriously. Please come prepared for these questions which you are going to be asked. You cannot mislead the nation anymore.
The problem with BJP and Congress at this stage is that neither party is willing to listen to the other side. They have stuck to their guns, both in their own capacities, are committed to their own kind of politics. I mean,
all right, okay, and MB Rajesh from the CPM, let's look at the third and final demand of the BJP in holding up Parliament on the coal scam. They are saying that all those coal blocks that were allotted, which have come under a cloud now, they should be reversed. What's wrong with that?
Hello, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the third demand of the BJP, those coal allocations should be reversed. They want the government to do that. What do you feel about that?
Our position is that this deallocation should be done.
It should be done.
142 coal blocks allocated should be deallocated.
Okay, then in which case, Sanjay, just like the 2G licenses that came under cloud were revoked, why can't you take back all these coal blocks as well?
Well, the answer is very, very complex, but I'll make it very simple. There are different companies at different stages of excavation, exploration work on the mines. A lot of the mines were actually held up on account of bureaucratic delays that may not have to do with companies. There are a lot of good reputed companies who have sunk in a lot of precious capital investment. If you try and do a deallocation onwards, you have another legal case. It's not going to help anybody. And a very pertinent point, Juzar, that you need to take notice here. Even Coal India takes around 4 to 4.5 years, despite being a public sector undertaking and having access to bureaucratic approvals. It takes a long time. So we cannot just assume that everybody had an ulterior motive.
Please, Sanjay, listen to it. You should take a cue from the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. There was no CAG report. Only on the basis of a media trial, all the petrol pumps and the gas agencies in 2002 that had been allocated since 2000 had in fact been deallocated.
Can I ask you what happened in 2002 in Gujarat riot? You objected to Sanjay's posture. What did Mr. Vajpayee do?
It's got nothing to do with the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. It was under the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government that the telecom scam really happened. Mr. BJP spokesperson, the telecom scam origins are in your Atal Bihari Vajpayee government.
All the origins are with us. We are the Gangotri, it seems.
My dear
you
friend,
ruled the country for 60 long years. But
don't substitute democratic practice for anti-democratic posture.
All right. Okay, I'll tell you what. Final word now to Neerja Chaudhary. Neerja, the monsoon session of Parliament comes to an end tomorrow. The PM says he's not going to resign. The government says there won't be an independent inquiry. It will be done by the CBI. And number 3, the coal block allocations is being looked into by an interministerial group. Where do you see this whole controversy and the whole the way the scam is going to play out? Where is it headed from now onward, given that Parliament session ends tomorrow?
Look, I think the opposition is smelling power and opportunity, and they're not going to let go of.
The bottom line being that if one wants a way out of this coal scam crisis, we need an independent inquiry, not an inquiry by a puppet called the CBI. How about perhaps a Supreme Court monitored special investigation team, just like what happened during the Gujarat riots, and now the results everybody can see are being delivered. That really then is the message that perhaps we can take away from this debate. In the meantime, Sanjay Jha, Dr. Sambit Patra, MP Rajesh, Dr. Manoj Jha, Neerja Chaudhary, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching. Good night.